Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Shauna DeLacy, and today we have Sarah Porter, who is the founder and CEO of MedDefend. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm very excited to learn more about you and more about MedDefend and how you got the idea and how you started and everything in between. So to get us started, first, can you tell me about your career and how you got to what you're doing?
Yeah, so really excited to be here. So I started out actually as a teacher. My undergrad degree is in education, and I thought I was going to be a teacher my entire life. But my knees had another plan for me. I was a special ed teacher, and my knees dislocate, and so I had to find something else to do. And so my cousin at the time worked at a startup that was in the education realm, and I had dabbled in sales at State Farm and actually won the Hall of Fame award there for most auto loans sold in our territory. So I was like, hey, maybe I'm
Yeah,
good at sales,
congratulations on that.
Thank you. So from there, my cousin worked in early stage startups and said, hey, we have a sales position open here. It's in e-learning. It's in the industry you really like. And from there, I just really had a passion for early stage startups and always knew I wanted to have my own. I worked for several early stage companies, usually from pre-seed to about Series B, and just was kind of waiting for that aha moment or that thing I was super passionate about to start my own.
Oh, well, that's amazing. And that's, kind of like a wide variety of careers, but that's so amazing and how you found that passion such like early on and now you're doing it. So what does your company do and like what are the main product lines of it all?
Yeah, so MedDefend is a new way to navigate healthcare and also advancing the care for chronic conditions, specifically in the United States and hopefully globally one day. So, right now, our product is an app that people can use. When you sign on, it has AI a part of it. So, it intakes you kind of like a nurse at a doctor's office. It asks you a lot of questions: how long your symptoms have been going on, what you're experiencing, the time of day you're experiencing it. And based on what you have that conversation with AI about, it creates a report that is sent to a live nurse advocate. And this is where our kind of, main, I think, outstanding thing is in the healthcare realm is like we cut down the time it takes to get a diagnosis, but also the money you're spending. So the report that's generated by the AI, it tells you how to effectively go through healthcare, and that nurse advocate is there to explain it to you. So it'll say, hey, here are the things that could be going on with you. Here are the tests to start with. So you're not having to go to a million specialists and fight for answers from doctors. It's telling you, hey, get these tests and see these specialists. The nurse advocate is there to go with you to appointments, help you prep, learn how to talk to your doctor. And then we have communities that you can join while you're going through all of that to get answers from peers. So that's the product as it stands right now.
Wow, that's so wonderful and amazing. Like I truly love that because from personal experience, you go to the doctors and you're like, I don't know, I don't know these doctor terms. I'm like, I always joke, like, can you talk to me in human terms? Like, I don't know these doctor terms. And so to have, kind of AI help you narrow it down and then you could talk to a nurse about everything before going to your doctor. So you have a better understanding of what you're talking about or what you may be experiencing and not be like, what is going on? So that's wonderful. And I love that you guys have communities because I know that when people are struggling with, whatever it might be, to have a community is so important and so beneficial. So that's truly amazing.
Yeah. No, I mean, over 60% of Americans have a chronic condition or,
Mm.
something debilitating that's going on. And it takes 5 years to get an answer typically.
Wow.
So we want to cut that timeline down and really help people get answers and the care they need more quickly.
Yes, I think that's truly just great what you're doing because I can't imagine living for 5 years and not knowing what I have or what's going on in my body. So truly, just truly wonderful. So what were some significant challenges that you faced in the initial stages of your business and how did you overcome them? Because I'm sure, it wasn't just smooth sailing the whole time.
No, definitely not. So it was a very different market when I decided to start MedDefend from the beginning of the pandemic. So I would say there was kind of this there was a lot of movement, I would say, from like 2018 to like 2020 in the VC space. People were writing a lot of checks, businesses were being started. We saw this kind of boom over the pandemic. It was very much like a employees market where, they were able to jump ship. And, we saw a lot of things happening in the startup space there where it was kind of like this boom and things were happening. And
Hmm.
then towards the tail end of it, about 2022, things started to kind of transition. And checks weren't being written a ton for early stage ventures. Pre-seed got a lot harder, especially always has been for a woman founder. And so it was really challenging getting started in that market. Raising money is never easy, but the market we were raising in was quite different from what we saw at the beginning of the pandemic or prior to that, kind of coming at the tail end of it, if you will. And being a female founder and going out there and trying to get people to invest is just another layer added to that. And the
Hmm.
third layer added to that was trying to get people who maybe have not gone through this at the doctor's office to understand how big of a problem it actually is in the United States, because it's a huge problem. So it was really interesting getting started up and trying to tell that story effectively, while also trying to fundraise and build the product at the same time with the limited funding that we did have. But thankfully, we came out the other end of it. We got into the Techstars JP Morgan Chase program that was AI focused in Chicago. That
Wow.
was really a game changer. So there's ways to really push through and still have your mission and your product get out there. But yeah, definitely, it's still a very challenging market to fundraise in. And my best goes out to all the people out there who are trying to fundraise, especially pre-seed or seed rounds right now.
Yeah, yeah. It just feels like everything was stacked against you. It started off and then it was like boom, 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 boom. And so, congratulations on getting the JP Morgan Chase with it. That's wonderful. So, speaking of all the good things you have done, what has been your most satisfying moment in your business so far?
I think onboarding our community leaders. So I mentioned that we have communities on the app, and
Hmm.
we started a podcast a year ago to basically get the word out there about MedDefend and the problem that we're solving and start building a community. And through that, we met incredible people through social media who were willing to share their story, open up about their diagnostic process, and who are already really empowering and helping people just from their social media platforms. And so when we started the communities a couple weeks ago, we onboarded a lot of those people who we interviewed on our podcast and who are in our social media community, as leaders who empower the community, share tips and tricks, and make sure there's no misinformation being spread. And it has been the coolest thing to see them talk about MedDefend and also share how it's impacted their lives and their diagnostic story. And so it's just really cool to see it happening in front of you and be able to talk to the people that you're helping and see them turn around and then help a bunch more people with it and their voice. So that's been a really satisfying thing to see.
Yeah, that sounds just wonderful. It feels like just like a good feeling, to you get to know these people and then they turn around and they also get to talk to other people. And not only are they talking to other people, they're also talking about your company and how great it is. And they're also being there for people, So really that is truly wonderful and just kind of makes your heart filled.
Yeah.
Um, so my next question for you is kind of what are your key values that your company represents and how do you ensure that they're upheld?
I think honesty and transparency are really big for us because you don't get that a lot in healthcare these days, especially transparency.
Mm,
And so, if people have questions, we answer them right away on social media. You can email into us. Val, our marketing associate, is phenomenal at putting out statements and information and things like that when people sign on to the app. So we just want to make sure that we are a source of trust and a safe place for people to go to. That is, number one. And I think the other thing that we really uphold is like work life balance, and nothing is more important than your health. Absolutely nothing on this planet is more important than your health. And so if my employees, call me and say, "Hey, I'm sick," or if I can even hear it in their voice, I'm telling them, "Get off for the day, tell me the tasks you need me to do, like you're not working." Doctor's appointments come first, kids doctor's appointment come first, your health always 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 comes first. And we really shine that through, obviously through our product, but also how we operate as a team. We always want to make sure that you're living your best, healthiest life, whatever that looks like. We're here to support that.
I love that because, I think after COVID, a lot of people realized that there wasn't work life balance, or if there was work-life balance. It wasn't a lot of it. And so, and people realized how important it was to have an equal balance. And that is something so vital. And you were talking about your health, physical health, mental health, and know that your boss and your employers and your employees and all that, like, really support you through and through is a huge thing. And being honest and transparent, absolutely, because honesty is the best policy. Isn't that what they say? So,
Mhm.
I definitely agree with you on that. And that's just wonderful that you guys do that and really take care of your employees, and kind of what your mission is. You are showing it in every day.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So how do you define success? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Success. How do you define success for yourself and for your business?
I think I define success as the amount of people we're able to help. So
Mm,
I know a lot of CEOs are saying, oh, if we increase revenue by X amount or if we grow X% year over year, and that's important. Don't get me wrong. Like that is important to a business.
right.
It's important
Right.
to relay that to investors. But at the end of the day, like I will feel successful when I know I have helped a mass amount of people get through their diagnostic journey and save money and finally get the care that they deserve and use what we're doing to also further the advancement of care for chronic conditions because the United States is just not a great place for healthcare right now. And like my personal story as to why it was founded, it took me 5 years to get my POTS diagnosis, right? And so I don't want other people to go through that.
Right.
So that's how I would define success is seeing the input that we're putting into the world and making sure that we're changing people's lives for the better.
I love that. It's truly, like you said, yes, it is about revenue and all that fun stuff, but
Mhm.
to really care about the people, your consumers, that's what's most important because that's who you're impacting. And, so that you care about that, it's just, is beautiful. So, how do you handle adversity and doubt?
I think, well, I don't know how many CEOs openly talk about this, but I think that if you're in a position of leadership at any company, having a therapist is a great thing to have. Not like making light of it, but also like, there is a lot of stress that comes with owning and
Hmm.
operating a business. And so when I am feeling that self-doubt or adversity come, like mental health is super important. Like have a therapist as a third party you can bounce things off of, but also having an incredible advisory network who lift you up and help you get through adversity is equally as important. So, we are a part of Hatchet Ventures, which is our kind of advisory firm, if you will. And we
Okay.
are able to pull a lot of advisors from there who, build us up and help us with marketing, with sales, with technology, whatever it might be, they have someone to help us. So I think like obviously focus on your mental health and make sure that you can get through things. But
Yeah.
like build up your community and find like-minded people who share the same kind of mission as you or who are just as passionate who can help you get through those times because no one can get through it alone. You can
Right.
be a
Exactly.
CEO all day every day if you want, that's great, but you can't do everything by yourself. You need those people to help you.
Yes, yes, I agree. And it's always just like, I know for me personally, like I feed off other people's energy. So when I have like that positive energy around me, then I'm like, okay, I can do this, and just
Yeah.
having someone in your ear reminding you, like, no, you are capable. Like this is just, it's just a bad day. It's not a bad life kind of thing, really makes a world of a difference. So the fact that I love that you have your own community as well as your therapist, but you also are creating that community within your own company as well. Cause I'm sure a lot of people, that have chronic illness or any kind of illness really, they can't relate to everyone. So to have
Mhm.
that community, I'm sure is just super beneficial.
Yeah.
So, my next question for you is, can you maybe share a failure that later became a success or maybe a valuable lesson for you?
Yeah, I think, well, for fundraising, getting all of those no's at first
Mm,
from investors was a tough pill to swallow because I came from the startup space. And so, not
mhm.
that I thought it would be easier, but I thought, hey, maybe I'll have, extra connections or, I've seen how to fundraise before. And getting those no's are definitely a tough pill to swallow because you're going to get a lot of them.
Yeah.
And, you can see it as a failure, but what I learned, especially from Trisha, who's an MD at Techstars, she really sat down with me when I got into that program and was like, you don't want everyone to invest in you, right? Like
Mm,
you can't see it as a failure all the time because you want to make sure that you're bringing on value add investors who are going to be equally as passionate about the mission and not, step on your toes and want to help you succeed and don't want you to like pivot to some pharmaceutical thing or, whatever down the line.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to get a lot of no's as, a CEO, as a founder with
Hmm.
either partnerships, fundraising, whatever it might be. You're going to get a lot of no's, but try to find the positive side of that and remember that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, I agree. There's a members. I heard it or read it, and it basically said that rejection is redirection, and I
Mhm.
love that because it really is. It's maybe it's a no, but it's heading you to a better path or a better place or a better company or a better investor who will work better with you. At the time, it kind of feels like, oh darn, but you never know what it could lead to. So absolutely, absolutely. So how do you foster innovation and creativity within your organization?
We do a lot of whiteboard sessions.
Mm.
So um, I tell my team that as much feedback as I give them, I want the feedback back. And so
Mm.
if someone has an idea, I don't want them to think, ever because of their title or if they're newer to the company. I don't want them, one time I genuinely had a COO and I got on the phone with him. This was at a different startup that I worked at. And I
Yeah.
said, "Oh, what do I do if I have ideas?" And he said, "Well, how about you sell some stuff first and then you can come to me with your ideas?" And I ended up being the highest performer on the team. And I left shortly after that because like all of, it was just a very like
Right. I
not
could
creative, not,
imagine.
yeah, not great environment. And so I don't want that for my team. I don't care if you're there for a day, a month, a year, whatever your title is, I want you to be able to come, even if, you have a marketing idea and you're in product, right? Like, I don't care. I want you to ping me, ping the team, let us know what your ideas are so that we can move forward as a company and always give
Mhm.
credit to the people who are giving those ideas. Um, so yeah, I always tell people when they start, whatever feedback you have, whatever ideas you have, share them right away and we'll work through them. We'll whiteboard them. We'll see what we can do because at the end of the day, like I said before, you can't do it on your own. You need a team
Mhm.
behind you who's just as passionate.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I truly love that because, sometimes like you might be in marketing, but you have this great idea for something else. And just because you have this one title, like you said, doesn't mean you're not capable of having this amazing idea that can really benefit not only the company, but the consumer as well. And really having, like you said, it's that open, honest transparency. And I think that's really just wonderful and beautiful and a great way to have a company run. So we kind of talked about the beginning of the company and how it started. So could you tell me more about like what's going on now and maybe like the long-term vision for the company?
Yeah, so we had our beta launch for a couple months where we tested out with users, and now we're fully in the App Store, which is super exciting.
Yay.
Yeah, so we onboarded our community leaders. They're helping bring people onto the app. Right now, we're working on getting covered by payers and Medicaid to help the masses, which is super exciting. And
That is.
yes. And like I said, the long term goal is to utilize what we're doing and the information we're collecting, which I want to be super clear on this. We will never sell personal data.
Mm,
But everything that we're collecting in an anonymized or aggregated fashion, we want to use to further the care of chronic conditions. And what I
right.
mean by that is, for example, I have PCOS as well. PCOS does not have a medication you can take. And it is very popular now that diabetic medication is actually being prescribed to women with PCOS, but it's not being covered by insurance. Sometimes metformin will be. You hear Ozempic. Ozempic is a huge popular drug in the
Mm,
market right now.
yep.
That is being treated for PCOS because some women have insulin resistance, right? But there's no drug on the market that is specifically targeted towards PCOS, and insurance companies are behind the eight ball. So, what can we do about it when we're meeting with women with PCOS? If we have a PCOS community, how can we utilize the communities that we're building and the information that we're collecting to advance the care of chronic conditions later? Are there
Mhm.
drugs that can come to the market for POTS, for PCOS, for fibromyalgia, right? Like, what are we able to do to shape the future of healthcare to actually help these people long term after they get the diagnosis? So, yeah, right now, we're helping the patients, but long term, we want to help, obviously the healthcare sector kind of get more education behind these conditions so that they can, diagnose correctly and more
Mhm.
quickly. And then also work with pharma on, hey, what can we actually do to treat these patients? Because
Right.
not specific drugs on the market for them right now.
Right. Yeah, that's a big thing too. And kind of like you're saying, you're like, there isn't a medication, but people are getting medicated for it, and then it's not covered by insurance. And
Right.
yeah, I love that you pointed that out because it can be very confusing and it's a whole whirlwind of things going on. And then there's this and that and this and that. And so to kind of come together as one and really just all work together as one to kind of the overall beneficial of the patient and, the doctor patient kind of relationship and everything just in between. So that is just, yes, agreed. And I'm really happy you pointed that out. So, how do you approach risk in your business? I'm sure that you have to take risks. So, how do you approach that?
I think it's a little different when we work with patients, right? So we are,
Mhm.
um, I would say we have a healthy amount of risk when it comes to how we go about marketing.
Okay.
And the ad strategy, or our marketing associates are really great at just reaching out to people and directly asking them questions and bringing them onto the app, right? So that's really fun to see. When it comes to our product, we're pretty risk averse because we want to make sure that we're not telling people misinformation or
Mhm.
diagnosing them through AI, right? So our AI is always going to say, hey, I'm an AI assistant. I can't officially diagnose you, but talk to one of
Right.
our nurses, right? And so I would say you have to have a healthy amount of risk when it comes to how you present yourself, how you fundraise, how you market. Those are always things that I feel like you need a healthy amount of risk with. When it comes to our product, we're very risk averse.
Yeah. So, yeah, I agree. You do. So, can you now describe your leadership style? How you are, like, you present yourself as leader, how your leadership style looks, and kind of how you cultivate team culture.
Yeah, Shauna, I could, I don't know how long we have. I could go on a tangent for about 2 hours about this. My team has to listen to them all the time. So I am a weird CEO in that I don't believe in the term professionalism. I
Mm,
actually hate that term so much because I feel like it's utilized as a weapon to
mm,
keep underrepresented groups from getting into certain industries, and it really grinds my gears.
yeah.
Um, so I
So,
tell my team, I don't care how you come to a meeting. I don't care if you're on camera, if you're not, if you're tired, I don't care. Sit on the couch and take the meeting, right? Like,
mhm,
work-life balance is super important to me. And I go on tangents all the time about how I don't believe in professionalism. We are very much so a company of work when you can. So we
mhm,
don't have a 9 to 5 structure 5 days a
mhm.
week. If you need to work 4 days a week, great. I always just tell my team, block off your calendar if you've got doctor's appointments, kids recitals, whatever it might be.
Right.
Your life, again, your health comes first. This is just a job, and I'm so happy and grateful that you're here and passionate about it. But it is not your end all be all, like your life is.
Mm,
So that's how we cultivate our company culture. And we make sure that people don't feel uncomfortable. So, like, things like, what did you do on the weekend, or things like that. We don't ask those types of questions,
gotcha.
um, because we don't want people to feel like they have to share information. They can
Mhm,
opt into sharing more information about their personal life. And I feel like with startups, sometimes that can blur the lines because early stage, you're working with people really closely. I used to go on like retreats with a startup I worked at where
mm,
we were all friends, like, um,
mhm,
so yeah, I mean, we just want to make sure people are absolutely comfortable. They show up 100% themselves. They share the information that they're comfortable with sharing, and that they know that this is a flexible work environment and that your life and your health comes first. And if ever there was a dip in productivity, we would just have a conversation about it like adults. I'm not going to like put you on a PIP. I don't believe in those. I think they're stupid. Sorry to the HR professionals out there. And yeah, I don't believe in the term professionalism, and my team has to hear my tangents about that all the time.
yes. Well, you know what? It sounds like you're a good boss because that's how, you want your employers to show up 100%. Whether it is them sitting on a couch, maybe being tired, but sitting on the couch and they're still doing their work. And like you said, too, kind of, you'll have a conversation with them. We are adults, we are mature adults, and we should be able to have a conversation when that time comes. And so I think that's just wonderful that you really like let your employees be the best selves, and also you trust your employees that they will get the work done no matter what, and it'll be good, kind of however it looks like. So, can you tell me maybe about like a book or a mentor or an event that significantly influenced your journey by chance?
Yeah. Well, I would say my mentors my entire life has always been my grandparents.
Mm.
And my great grandparents. I feel like I came from a family where everyone was an extremely hard worker. Like my grandpa had the nickname Workin' Durkin, and my other grandpa had his own company as well, environmental packaging. And he took me to lunch a couple years ago and actually shared the book, The Power of Positive Thinking. He says he rereads it a
Mhm.
lot, and I reread it pretty much every year now because it is such a good reminder that you have to maintain a positive headspace. Like you said earlier, the people you surround yourself with, the energies you surround yourself with, and what you tell yourself becomes true.
Mhm.
My dad is also an entrepreneur, and he says all the time, whether you think you can or can't, you're right. I'm sure that's from some like philosopher or famous person and not my
Yeah.
dad specifically, but it's true. Like mindset is everything. So, again, like if you have those people you can surround yourself with and bounce ideas off of, fantastic. But I would definitely recommend the book, The Power of Positive Thinking, because it is transformative, and it always is a good, kind of, I don't know if I want to say like slap in the face, but just like reminder of like, hey, get yourself out
Yes.
of negative talk. Be nice
Yeah.
to yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I think people can get in that mindset of like being negative, and then they kind of just go down that rabbit hole, and things just always are viewed negatively and instead of positively. And it's really a game changer when you do think positive. There's this man, Nietzsche and Shoning, and he said, master your mind. He said, don't let your mind master you, master your mind. I think that's just kind of like thinking positive. Like you can have your brain telling you all these, like, I can't do it. I shouldn't do it. I'll fail. Or you can have your brain saying, no, you know what? I might fail, but why not try? Because what if I
Hmm.
succeed? And I'm going to succeed, and all those positive thoughts, it really does help you in the long run.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So that sounds like a book I need to read as well. So I'll have
Yeah.
to get on Amazon and look into that. So my next question for you is, what are the most critical skills you believe an entrepreneur needs to have to succeed?
I think humble confidence is the best way to summarize it. I think you have to be confident about your idea and how you're going to bring it to market and what the future state is, but you also have to be equally as humble where you're open to others' opinions
Mm.
and feedback. Because that's how, great ideas come to be, is not just from one person, it's from a team of people. So I feel like that's kind of a theme I'm saying a lot in this interview, is like you need a lot
Yes.
of
All
people
right.
around you. But yeah, I think you need to have, equal parts humble and equal parts confidence. And you really need to be able to get through tough times, because as an entrepreneur, there are going to be a lot of tough times. There's going to be a lot of no's, a lot of slam doors in your face, and you have to be able to pick yourself back up.
Mhm.
But just being able to handle adversity. But yeah, definitely humble confidence is something that rings true quite a bit for entrepreneurs.
I absolutely love that you said that, because not that I don't think entrepreneurs aren't humble, but I think that is such a great reminder. Like,
Mhm.
yes, your idea is great, it's wonderful, but there are people out there who can add to it, make it even better. And they take your idea and they just add a little spice to it, and it's not exactly how you wanted it, but it could work even tenfold, and just really being open, like, okay, yeah, you're right, like that works better, that it will end up being better for everyone all around, and not being like, no, this is my idea. I think that's huge. I really, really, really do. So I love that you brought that up. So my last question for you is just, what's some advice you would give to someone wanting to start up their own company, or kind of like, what do you wish someone told you?
Do it. I think, I had a lot of knowledge about starting a startup because of my background and my career working in them for a few years. Had I not known that, it's a very vast and scary place to be, not knowing where to go. There's differences between small business and startups, but the reality is the same. You have to get money from someone usually to start it up.
Mhm.
And so, again, I would just use that humble confidence and make sure you know your stuff, have a plan, Be confident in yourself, be humble to take the feedback, but do it and just try, because what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't happen, right? Okay, at least you tried.
Mhm.
And I would also just make sure you look up free resources. There are
Mhm.
a lot of free resources, and people can reach out to me on LinkedIn if they're curious. But there are certain law firms that will defer payment. There are certain programs like Brex or Mercury are really great banks to use, or Carta has like a startup program, right? Like there's a ton of tech that has programs for startups or small businesses, and use that to your advantage to save as much money as possible up front. So definitely do your Google research before you start.
Yeah.
And just know that there's organizations out there too that you can join. Whether you're, a woman founder, there's a lot of great organizations. If you're
Mhm.
wanting to break into tech, there's a lot of great organizations and people who will help you fundraise or learn how to have a small business, right? So yeah, find your community and just build within it, and make sure you try to get all the free stuff you can at
Yes,
first.
yes,
That
yeah, when
really
you're
helps.
starting up.
And just do it. Just try.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time and that advice. I think that is great. Sometimes people just need to hear it, right? Like they need to hear just do it, just rip the band-aid off, just get it done with, because it is scary to jump. I'm sure
Mhm.
that's a big, big investment and a huge jump and a lot of time and just overall just a lot. And so I
Yeah,
really, I love that you're like, okay, do it, but also this is how you can do it too for free. Because I'm also so sure that people are like, well, the money, how do I go
right.
about these? And so I'm just wonderful that you brought that up, because I think that is huge and so valuable to get your, bang for your buck kind of thing for free. So that is just truly wonderful. So thank you once again for your time and for joining the podcast and, getting to let me know more about you and more about MedDefend. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll see you all next time.